welcome to the PrePost film review. I'm Jon Asquith.
And I'm Matt Stevenson. So this episode we're going to be chatting about the new David Fincher film Gone Girl. So first up you'll hear our discussion of the trailer, which we recorded when that came out. So that'll be spoiler-free impressions about what we think the film's going to be like. Then we'll jump forward a bit and we'll come back into the studio after we've seen the film, and you can listen to us review the film itself, but just be warned that that will be full of spoilers. So if you haven't seen the film, steer well clear of that. So here's our thoughts on the trailer.
As you all know, my wife, Amy Elliott Dunn, disappeared 3 days ago.
She may be the face I can't forget, a trace of pleasure or regret, may be my treasure or the price I have to pay. She may be the song that summer sings, may be the chill that autumn brings, may be 100 different things within the measure of a day.
You can't go on like this.
It's not good enough for you?
It's not even close.
All right, here we are to talk about the trailer for the new David Fincher film Gone Girl. We've just watched trailer 1 for it, and I think that's as many as we're going to watch because this is a bit of an anticipated movie for us.
Yeah, don't want to watch too much.
Yeah. Matt, what are your general thoughts upon seeing this trailer?
I'm pretty excited, though I was excited before I saw the trailer just because of David Fincher's involvement. I love the majority of his films, so I'm a pretty big David Fincher fan.
Yep.
After seeing the trailer, I guess I'm still pretty excited. I'm worried that the trailer gave away a little bit too much plot, potentially some plot twists.
Yeah.
But in terms of the tone and the look of the film, I'm pretty excited. I think this is going more down his subtle, low-key sort of line of films that he's been doing, like The Social Network and maybe Zodiac to an extent,
Yep.
which I really like. He's moving away from the sort of really full-on stuff like Fight Club and Seven, which I loved at the time, but I'm starting to really appreciate his more nuanced stuff. Visually, it looks great, like his films always do. Cast is good. I don't know. I'm excited. How about you, Jon?
Yeah. I'm pretty much just going to echo your thoughts. I think it looks really good in terms of like the trailer itself. It's really well put together trailer.
It is.
With that song over the top and these sort of brief images of the story unfolding. I agree that perhaps it's showing a bit too much. I mean, the good thing is that there isn't a lot of actual dialogue in the trailer.
Yeah, that's true.
So you're getting these random images without any kind of context at all. But there is a shot of a body of the wife.
Yeah, well, the final shot of the trailer, I guess, is the biggest spoiler because she's dead.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
the whole trailer was built around the fact that you kind of don't know what happened to her.
She's just missing.
Missing, exactly.
Yeah, and you think, she might come back later in the film or something. The only thing I can think possibly is that that's like some kind of dream sequence.
I hope
or
it doesn't
fantasy
go down that kind of
thing.
route.
Well, it looks like he's in the house a lot, right?
Yeah.
With like media outside, and he's walking around remembering things
that's
and
true,
having
I
these
suppose.
weird kind of apparition moments. So I don't know whether that's a
I
correct
guess
guess
it
or
could be
not,
some
but-
sort of like weird nightmare scene or something, where he imagines what her fate could be.
That's right. Because I mean that would be a weird shot to have in the film anyway, right?
What, her dead?
Just like showing her body like that, unless then you see like a hook come down and fish her out of the water.
Yeah,
or
well,
something.
that's true. Maybe it opens with that shot.
It could actually. You know what? You might be right. But yeah, overall, I'm really excited. I'm a David Fincher fan. I don't think as much as you are, Matt. I really appreciate his films, and I really, really like some of them. But I've never been a fanboy or like too obsessed with any of them in particular. I've watched them and enjoyed them, and
I was obsessed with Fight Club and Seven when they came out. Really obsessed.
Yeah.
That makes me sound psychotic.
Yeah.
No, they were just such striking impactful films when I saw them when I was quite young, 17 or 18 or whatever when they first came out.
Yeah, I think a lot of film enthusiasts our age had that experience when they were in the high school of seeing those movies, and it sort of affected them in some way.
I think I was also annoyed in terms of the trailer potentially spoiling things that it sort of shows us straight away that it's going down the line that he potentially killed her as well.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't have initially thought that that's where the film was going.
No, me neither.
I mean, maybe that's a huge part of the book and that everyone knows that.
Yeah, maybe straight away.
Because I didn't know that's what the book was, the film was about.
Yeah.
But for me, as soon as that, there's a line where he's like, I didn't kill my wife.
Yeah. It's like, okay, so now that's what the whole movie you're going to be thinking.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
Like, that's the big question. And yeah, it would have been cool if maybe the trailer was showing him and these weird clues that he seems to find, or like the investigation, and leave that kind of twist or angle until you're actually in the cinema. I mean, that would be a great surprise.
Yeah, definitely.
But I suppose, they've got to sell it that way, and as you said, the book is probably like all about that.
Yeah, it potentially may not be a spoiler. Like, it might might be what the film is about from the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And on the other spoiler note, I feel like there are some shots in there that seem to point to him doing it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And I don't know, I didn't really want to bring it up, but
I really hope...
Like, he's violent.
That's not the case. Yeah, you see him basically beat her up, or about to beat her up.
Yeah.
It, like, cuts away, and you see them fighting.
Yeah.
And smashing things. And I mean, maybe that's suggesting that he is, but then he doesn't.
See, when I first watched that trailer, and you see those shots before there's the voiceover of him saying, I didn't kill my wife, I instantly thought, fucking thank you, you've just spoiled the film for me, because I know that he's killed his wife now.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until that final line where he's like, I didn't kill my wife, and I was like, okay, well, maybe that's the point and it's meant to be ambiguous, but I'm still worried that that's...
Yeah.
I've just figured it out in my head before seeing the film.
Yeah. I'm sure there will be more to the film, but it will be disappointing if it's like, that's the question, and then the answer is just like... yes. You know what I mean? Like, I hope there's a lot more, and it seems to suggest there is, because there's this weird shot of them like pointing a flashlight at this like furnace or something, and Ben Affleck looks really perplexed, like he's going on the journey of discovering what happened to her as well. So I'm hoping, for all we know, maybe it gets really like metaphysical and weird or something,
well, that would be cool.
Like,
I don't know if that was where it's
probably
going,
not, but you never know. Like, it could have some whole other dimension to it.
We don't know that much about it, especially from that trailer.
Yeah,
it doesn't really.
No, I mean, we're worried about these little things, but it could be a lot worse, I suppose.
Yeah, and I think we're worrying about single shots that we're reading context into. You know, like there's little things, snippets thrown out of context that we're giving this weight to that may not be the case in the final film itself.
That's right. I wonder if David Fincher cuts his trailers.
I actually have no idea.
Because it's quite well made. And I'm wondering if, if he has, then it's like instantly I'm not worried.
Yeah.
But, I'm not sure.
I would like it to go down a more Zodiac-esque path. I hope it's not about this grisly murder, and I hope it become like that. That would be a great ending for me if it was ambiguous and you never knew. Yeah, and they never found her.
Yeah,
or
I think that's totally possible.
Yeah,
and now that you say it, probably the most likely.
Apart from the fact that we've seen the trailer, there's footage of her dead, floating in the water, which implies that she's found some stage right.
Yeah. But I guess I mean like who killed her.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. Like whether he did or not.
Well, I guess, that would be a smarter way to play it, and a smarter way to cut the trailer if you knew that's what the film was going to be, because then the trailer is a misdirect, even though you think it's a spoiler.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Now we're like out thinking the trailers here. Now we've inadvertently spoiled it for ourselves by second guessing the trailer.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's interesting though, because it's a Fincher film, there is that level of detail and depth to the filmmaking that you can analyze these really quick shots in the trailer and sort of read into them straight away.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of cool and the fun thing about following a really talented filmmaker like him.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I think I probably shouldn't be very worried because he's kind of better than that. And I think his films, at least now, have become above that kind of just pulpy murder mystery.
Who did it?
Yeah. It's not going to be about who did it. I don't think.
Yeah.
It'll be, like you said, it'll be more than that.
Yeah, yeah. There'll be aliens in it.
Yeah, 100%.
Stay back, everybody, stay back.
I did not kill my wife. I am not a murderer.
All right, so here we are back in the studio. We've both seen Gone Girl last night.
Yes.
What did you think, John?
I really liked this movie. I really liked it.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure. I feel like it's the sort of movie that totally bears repeat viewings, and you need time to process.
Yeah,
kind
I
of.
think so.
And because it was only last night, as you said, when we saw it, I'm still figuring out what I liked and what I didn't like, because
I feel the same way, actually.
It's quite dense and also quite mixed in terms of quality, I think. So, but then I'm wondering how much of that is kind of intentional or not. Like, the first maybe half hour, I was thinking, what the hell? Why is everyone saying this is such a good movie? Like, this is weird.
Up until what point when you say the first half hour?
I'm trying to think if there was an exact turning point. I don't think there was, or I just got used to things, maybe. But what I didn't like was I felt like the characters were really fake and writey, like really written, and the way they were speaking was like no one speaks like that, and like why are they being quirky in this scenario?
Those opening romantic scenes.
The romantic scenes
that
in particular, yeah.
Almost excruciating.
Yeah, it was like a cheap rom-com thing you'd see on TV.
Yeah,
like,
it was terrible.
Yeah, and then you get, I guess, you get to the turning point of the movie, and I'm wondering, is that intentional?
I think a lot of it is.
Yeah, it has to be, right?
Yeah.
Because it's so inconsistent with other parts of the movie.
And I think you nailed it when you said how writerly it feels.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that's exactly what it ends up being.
You find out that they're being
written,
and not just actually in the diary for her, but for an audience, because she wants the cops to find it. But even so, those early memories were real ones and real interactions.
Well, parts of it were real, I guess.
Parts of it, yeah. I have to guess that she embellished the way they talk to each other.
Yeah, you never quite know, right? Like,
yeah.
how much of that is real and how much of that is a fabrication.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So just to get, there's so much for us to talk about.
Yeah.
But as the movie went on, I found myself liking it more and more. And then when the big twist comes that she's still alive, I was like, oh, wow, this is so interesting and intriguing and so cool. And then she comes back to the house. And it's like, what the hell? And then I feel like it kind of fizzles a little bit the last maybe 10, 15 minutes. But that kind of middle chunk is so good, and there's so much to kind of dig into there that overall I do think it's a really good film. So I'm deciding now as I'm saying it, like I did really like it. I do really like it. What do you think?
I think we're almost on exactly the same page.
Okay.
John. I felt the same way. A bit clunky at the start, but retrospectively think that's intentional, and agree that sort of towards the end it kind of goes off the rails a little bit. There's some things that didn't quite work for me. I was in the movie as I was watching it, but kind of when I came out of it, I was a little disappointed that it was so pulpy. Like, I didn't expect that from Fincher. And I think we chatted about it in the trailer. I was expecting something sort of serious and somber.
That's right.
Zodiac, and this
I think you said like low key.
Yeah,
or
this
subtle
is
or something,
anything but low key.
Yeah.
This is bananas bordering soap opera stuff towards the end.
Yeah.
Which I think works, but just because of my expectations, it kind of took me a little while to adjust to what the film actually was.
Yep.
But yeah, overall, I really liked it, and a lot of it has to do with the big twist and how great that trailer was in completely misdirecting us.
Yeah.
I had a weird experience because I thought I knew exactly where it was going, that he had killed the wife and that was going to be the big twist. And then when the reveal happens in the car, when you see her driving along and it kind of does the flashbacks, it completely wowed me. I was floored. But then I couldn't stop thinking, as soon as that happened, my mind flicked to that image of her dead body in the water.
Right,
and all I could think was like, oh no, now I've just ruined it for myself again. She's obviously going to end up dead. And I was like annoyed again at the trailer, but that only lasted maybe 5 minutes because I think that...
Because then they show it.
Yeah, that shot of the bodies in that montage. And then,
that's right.
And then from that moment on, that was such a liberating moment because then I literally had no idea where this film was going to take me.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's such a rare experience for that to happen.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like completely untethered. You're like, this could go absolutely anywhere. If it was willing to do that big a twist, 40 minutes into a film.
Yep. It totally pulls the rug out from under you. And, at that point, you don't know of these two people whose side you're on and who's telling the truth.
Yep.
And I think the film comes down, for me anyway, I'm not on anyone's side, and I'm perhaps, you end up being more sympathetic towards Ben Affleck's character, I suppose, because even though he does some shitty things, he doesn't kill anyone or frame people.
Which I think is actually a little bit of a problem I had with the film.
Yeah, it's not, by the end it's not balanced at all, and but for that middle part where you're not sure, and she's kind of acting like she had to get out of the relationship, and he was he cheated on her, and he
found out that he was cheating on her.
That's right. Yeah. And so you're like, oh, okay, so now it's flicked, and we're kind of seeing it from her point of view and why she can justify this, but ultimately she can't really. I think it's just like she's insane.
Yeah, she turns into such a psychotic, crazy woman.
Yeah,
it's impossible.
Yeah, and there's like maybe 20 minutes where she's kind of in disguise at the trailer park or whatever that place was, which is really interesting, and she's like revealing this information about herself through another character that she's pretending to be, like a hillbilly, and she talks about seeing him cheat and do the lip move that he does, and you're like, oh, okay, this is why she did it, and I feel kind of sorry for her, even though she's gone to such ridiculous lengths. But then she just like kind of goes off the rails as soon as the money and stuff stolen from her, and there's this interesting but strange scenario with Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah, see, I did find that a bit hard to swallow.
Yeah, like if that felt very story, like it didn't feel what's the word? Like it didn't feel realistic.
Yeah, that's
when
it got really pulpy for me.
It's like she just runs into her ex, who, I mean, she called him, but whatever, and he's a psycho as well, and like kind of forcing her and trapping her.
Obviously, some crazy multi-millionaire that has this bizarro prison mansion. With
exactly.
cameras.
Yeah, it just kind of went a step too far around that point. It never really recovers from that, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think even at the point when she decides to call him, that seemed like she seemed so smart up to that point, and that seemed like such a wildly sort of out of character move to call someone who would recognize her.
Yeah.
On the the assumption that he's not going to just turn her straight in.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. That's sort of warning bells went off in my head then.
Yeah.
And you're right. It kind of went a little off the rails.
Yeah.
I think if you're willing to go with it, there's a lot of crazy fun to be had.
Oh, there was.
That.
Yeah, there is. Like, it's not like the movie stops being enjoyable but you just have to kind of shift the way you're watching it almost at that point. But the stuff with him was really fun to watch, and his death scene is just like horrific.
Yeah, that was incredible. That scene.
Yeah, really well done.
The like pulsing score and the way it was fading in and out as the blood was just gushing everywhere. It was really intense.
Yeah, it's just like, holy shit. Like that, she goes up another level of insaneness at that point. Like, what is her game plan?
Yeah.
Speaking of the score in that scene in
Yes.
general, like I really liked the score,
Yeah, so did I.
but I feel like it was very heavy-handed at times as well.
Really?
And I was wondering, this connects to the early stuff again. Like almost every time it went back to a romantic flashback, there was this dreamy kind of synthy pad over the top, which was so like in your face. But again, like, is that part of the cheesy flashback that she's purposely written, or not?
Maybe. To be honest, the score didn't stick out to me like that. I mean,
Okay.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I think I was expecting something similar to The Social Network, which the score was at such odds with the film, which was one of the reasons that
that's
made
true.
it so distinctive. It was this kind of weird, droning, borderline horror film score over this drama about Facebook. And it was so apparent when you were watching it. So I was kind of expecting something similar in this film, and it was kind of like it's in a similar vein, but I thought it was toned down a lot compared to The Social Network. But maybe that was just my expectations.
Okay.
But you're probably right about the opening scenes and the romantic music. I would imagine that it's all part of that sort of facade that it's building at the start of the film in order to trip you up a few scenes later on.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think like there's a whole level to that like even not in the flashbacks, when you see the main detective woman who's on the case, I feel like for a lot of the movie she's always carrying like this big coffee cup. Did you notice that?
That's true. Yeah.
And I was like, that's a cliche as well. The cop carrying the coffee thing everywhere and always drinking coffee. And the first, I don't know, hour or 50 minutes is like this like whodunit kind of thriller.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering how much of that cheesy, cliche, detective-y stuff is like meant to lead us down that path, and then,
That's
it helps when the rug is pulled from under you, like, to change that.
No, I think that's a good point, because it's kind of like it's almost on a meta level doing what the characters are doing. You know what I mean?
That's
Like
right.
the film is about like putting on a face and
Exactly.
putting up this projection of what you think people want to see you as. Like he has to do it to the media. They do it as a couple, especially at the end.
Yeah.
And I guess in a way the film is doing that, especially in the first third.
Yeah.
It's presenting itself to us as something that it ultimately turns out not to be.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, I think that all kind of makes sense. And I can totally see, David Fincher is the sort of filmmaker that would go to those lengths. It's interesting that the protagonist of this movie, Ben Affleck, is not a likable guy, I found. Like, the whole movie through, even when the twist happens, you sympathise with him more, but I never found myself really liking him all that much. And you don't like the wife either, obviously, Amy. But
You think that's kind of like a bold thing to do? I agree, but I think at least at the beginning for me, there were moments when I liked both of them. I think one of the things I really liked about the film was the way my allegiances like wildly swang from one to the other depending on what you'd just seen.
that's true, yeah.
And I do
When
think,
it was like establishing and had the different flashbacks, and when and parts of her diary entry were like showing him to be a bit of an asshole, and you'd be on her side, and
then I often feel sorry for him with all the media attention and the way it was sort of manipulating the public's view of him and saying that he was like having an incestual relationship with his twin sister and all this crazy stuff. Like I did feel sorry for him, especially after you find out that she is such a psycho. Then I think you inherently sort of sympathise with him.
You do, yeah.
Which I guess is kind of interesting too, on a sort of meta level, in that in the film itself they talk a lot about how he's going to go on this interview show and he's going to bare his soul, and everyone will hate him at first and everyone will forgive him, and that's almost what you go through as an audience member as you watch the film.
Yeah, true. And in that interview, actually, he sums up his character in the film, I think, and says, I'm not a murderer, but that doesn't mean I'm a good guy.
Yeah, actually, yeah,
and
that's a good point.
Exactly how I felt about him by the end.
Though, like we said at the beginning, I do wish they pushed his character a little bit further in a darker direction. I think there's that final scene when they're about to go down to have the interview and she reveals that she's pregnant.
Yeah.
And he fucking smashes her.
Yeah,
like he
that was
slams
shock.
her head against the wall. And
that was presumably the first real time he's actually done it.
Yeah. And that, I mean, I love that arc of his character, that it's almost she has turned him into this violent husband.
Yes, yeah.
I think that's a clever way of doing it.
Yeah, I feel like he just never seemed... I know they had a shitty relationship, but there was never a moment of him being overly concerned about almost anything in the movie. Like, he just kind of seemed like he didn't want to deal with things, you know? He didn't want to deal with the public, he didn't want to deal with the cops, but he was never like... He never broke down or like confided particularly. I mean, he talks to his sister a little bit, but, you know, I think that it's interesting that he never succumbs to the stress, really. Like, I don't know, he just didn't seem relatable in any way. And aside from the arsehole side to him and the cheating side, just like as a human, you think the pressures that were on him would affect him, and it kind of didn't. He just kind of seemed pissed off about the whole thing. Yeah,
that's true. That's a good point. So you think that made him less relatable?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I wouldn't... Knowing their relationship, I understand that he wasn't too concerned that she went missing because he hated her.
Yeah.
But just like in general, like having to deal with all of that stuff, like it never goes above him just being like kind of annoyed at the attention.
You're right. He never fully breaks down or like loses it. I guess apart from that the scene at the end when he's violent.
Well, that's
right.
A
different way, I suppose.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. In terms of the very end, like the last 15 minutes or whatever, like when she comes back.
Yep.
You know, she comes back in this dramatic fashion in front of the media, and at that point I was like, holy shit, where is this going to go now? Like, it's been so unpredictable, and now she's back. What's going to happen? Yeah. But it kind of fizzles out from that point. I really think, happens, like, it becomes perhaps an even bigger, heavy-handed metaphor for, like, a bad marriage, where it's like, we've just got to pretend that we're happy and go along with it for the sake of everyone else. You know, I found it kind of unrealistic that the detective sort of gives up on the case because the FBI take over. And she's like, it's out of my hands now. Although the scene with her questioning Amy was really good.
That was great.
I really love that. Yeah. And like all the FBI guys were men, and they hook, line, and sinker fell for this attractive woman telling them this awful, disgusting stuff. Yeah, there's like a voyeurism and a male really protectiveness that overcomes everything, and they keep looking at the female detective like, shut up, stop questioning her, you know. Yeah. So I guess that scene like got that point across, but I still felt like she was such a strong character and one of my favorites that it was disappointing that she was like, it's out of my hands, or whatever she says. And likewise, the lawyer, who was also a great character, is like, I think you're going to be okay.
It just bails,
and just leaves. And it's like, I don't know, I found that whole kind of turn of events disappointing and strange.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I think I felt a similar way, but maybe, again, that's kind of the point. Yeah. You know, like I did kind of like that it didn't turn into an even more, like, soap opera TV thing where the underdog cops like investigating, you know what I mean, and finally unravels it all. I much prefer it sort of ending in this ambiguous way where they're both kind of trapped in this horrific relationship. But I can see that, and I did feel a similar way during that scene. Like, you just want them to do something. It seems like they didn't put up much of a fight.
No, and even Ben Affleck, like, very quickly I feel kind of softens to her again. And I mean, she says something to him along the lines of, you know, you like this, or, you know, I'm the woman that you want, or something. And maybe that's true. Maybe deep down that is what he wants or something. But it just, you know, he keeps saying to her, like, as soon as this media stuff is over, I'm leaving. But he doesn't seem particularly strong in that opinion
Mm.
for most of the time, I think. Yeah, I guess, that's one of the, as you said, that's kind of the point. And there's that great scene where he tells his sister and she's just bawling her eyes out.
That
Like,
is a
I
good
can't
scene,
believe you're
actually.
doing this.
Yep.
And I suppose that addresses that point where it's like, how, why are you doing this?
Yeah. I guess he's almost defeated at that point.
Yeah.
He's run out of options and has to just deal with it or kill her. Or himself, actually. I wondered if it was going to go down that road and he'd commit suicide.
Yep. Yeah, I can see that happening. One thing that I thought was a bit strange was that didn't need to be in it, as far as I can tell, was having Ben Affleck's dad turn up at the police station. Like, I really thought that was going somewhere strange and weird at that point in the movie.
Yeah.
Because, like, again, it's one of these, like, pulpy coincidences where he's being interviewed for his wife missing, and just out the front of the police station is his father asking for him.
Yeah,
I was like, what? That's so weird and unbelievable. What's going on here?
Yeah,
and
there
it
must
kind
be
of doesn't
some
go
connection
anywhere.
somewhere. That's a good point. I think there's perhaps a missed opportunity to build on Ben Affleck's character being more of a misogynist, because his dad says some pretty disgusting things about women, just
That's
seemingly
true.
for no reason.
Yeah, that's
And
true. Yeah,
I
good point.
kind of thought that perhaps that was where it would go, or it could, you get a bit of an insight into the kind of upbringing this guy's had, having that kind of guy as a father, and why he might act a certain way around women.
Yeah.
But you're right, it sort of doesn't even go anywhere, other than the one or two lines that the dad says, then tells him to fuck off, or whatever.
Yeah.
He leaves him at the retirement home.
Yeah, that's right.
I guess even that is enough to give you a little hint that he's come from a weird
Yeah.
place in terms of his family life.
Yeah, that's right. I think, it's interesting talking about his family life, how he did seem to be close to his mum. And his sister says at one point, like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I wish, mum was here, she'd be able to fix it, or something like that. And it was sort of made me think about all the women in his life, like that he's just surrounded by women in this movie. But I'm not quite sure what the movie is trying to say, if anything, about all those relationships. Like, you've got this strong female detective who's kind of giving him the benefit of the doubt for a long time, and ultimately is on his side, even though they arrest him for a little bit. They moved there for his mother, who died. Obviously, his wife is the whole catalyst for the movie. I don't know. It just felt like there was this whole kind of, the movie obviously
it's really interesting.
has
in
lots
that sort
of themes about
yeah.
women and almost feminism and like empowerment and misogyny. But it wasn't quite clear what was going on in terms of all that thematic stuff. Or maybe I'm just looking into it too much.
No, I think you're right. I think it's definitely there, but I'm too dumb to figure out why. Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I never actually looked at it that way. He is almost 100% surrounded by women all the time, apart from the Tyler Perry, the lawyer that helps him out. And there's that weird line where he's watching the news or something, and he's getting annoyed, and he's like, I'm sick of women constantly picking my life apart, or I'm
yeah, that's right. He does. Yeah, because the sister as well. Yeah,
yeah.
It's another character, another female character.
Yeah, I think she's like a strong positive force.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
So it's not like he's surrounded by these negative influences.
No, not at all.
And I think like a lot of people have, or I've read a few things on the internet about people complaining that the film is too misogynistic, and I can see that issue in terms of what I was saying before about the unbalance of the characters in terms of their relationship.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of women as characters in the film, they make up for her with the strong cop and the strong sister.
Yeah.
It's not all bad.
No, it's not. And I think another interesting sort of, I guess, meta level to that is the author of the book, who also wrote the screenplay, is a woman, is female. So, that adds this whole other interesting kind of aspect to it.
The opening credits of the film.
I think I know what you're going to say.
a little bit too quick.
Yeah.
Every shot,
Yes,
right?
I had that in my notes.
That, like, I honestly, it weirded me out. I was sitting there and I was like, it's just like a millisecond or two, just too quick.
Yeah,
and
I totally agree.
I honestly, for a second, I was like, are they playing this film at the wrong speed? Because it just felt so wrong, which retrospectively is goddamn brilliant. Like, to put you, like, it just makes you uneasy and uncomfortable right from the start.
Yeah, exactly.
But it completely threw me. And for something so small and simple to have such a huge, like, impact on me, I don't know, I was pretty amazed by that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I was, like, instantly put off by it.
Yeah, right.
But knowing that he's not a bad filmmaker, like, that's a very obvious choice.
Yeah.
What did you think of all the stuff involving Neil Patrick Harris?
Actually, interestingly, I like, as much as I dislike that section because it becomes so unbelievable, I do like that it turns the tables again, and she almost literally is trapped again, like she's in a prison again. And you start, at least I started to feel sorry for her to an extent again, because this like crazy dude that's, I mean, I guess half of it is that she is scheming and planning and wanting to not get caught but escape. But I don't know, I like the way that it moved back into her being trapped within a house in this kind of weird relationship.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was interesting in that respect. And there was one moment where he has a weird line. He kind of like stands up in front of her and says something like, "I'm not going to force myself upon you."
Oh yeah.
But
it's
it was almost
really
like,
threatening.
I want to.
Yeah.
You know, I want to, but I'm not going to.
I read it as like, I'm not going to force myself on you, so you better let me.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, you know, what's she gotten herself into?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really interesting. You know, I think in some ways having the tables turned on her had already happened though with
That's true.
Those southern kind of hillbilly.
That was more affecting than that.
Yeah, way more.
I felt really bad for her then.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go to get revenge on those two hillbilly creeps. How did you feel about the scene with is it Scoot McNeary? Is that how you say his name? The actor that was one of Amy's ex-boyfriends. That,
oh right.
Ben Affleck meets in the pub and he tells the story about how she faked this rape that he committed, and now he's a convicted sex offender.
Yeah.
I just think I wonder whether that was kind of one step too far in pushing her into the villainous side of things.
Yeah.
Because before that it was much more ambiguous to start with, and I guess that was the first time you realise, okay, she's nuts.
Yeah.
But I think if you didn't have that, it's not justified, but the men that she's been with have obviously been psychos as well.
Yeah.
Like the Neil Patrick Harris character, at that point you don't really know, but when you do finally meet him, like, he's a fucking nut job as well. No wonder she wanted to get the hell out of that and had to
that's right. Yeah, and
do all this crazy stuff.
Exactly. And here's the restraining order she put on him, or whatever it was, in their past relationship, was a real thing, I guess, because he exhibits that behaviour when we finally meet him.
Yep.
And so you're right. Like, if we hadn't seen the second boyfriend explain that stuff, it would be up in the air for at least longer. Like how authentic she's being, and how what she's talked about in her past, what's real and what's not.
Yeah.
And I just feel like it's problematic in the sense that a lot of men say that kind of shit about women, and it's not true. And it's like, in this movie, it turns out to be true.
Yeah.
You know, it's just slightly troubling almost.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I just wonder if there was a better way that scene could be handled.
Yeah.
Or even like a better, different accusation that he could have, thrown her way and claimed that she did.
Yeah.
Because I think from a plot perspective, it serves a point in terms of another flip of who you're siding with. Because that's another blind side that suddenly you're like, holy
She's
crap.
this mastermind
like, and it
framing people.
throws you back on his side, which is what I liked. I liked being thrown back and forth. But yeah, perhaps it could have been done in a slightly more tasteful manner.
Yeah, I definitely think so. Like, I feel like we've covered a lot, but I also feel like there's going to be so many other things I think of as time goes on, and you know, I'm looking forward to seeing it again. I think, you know, like, I feel like there would be other things you'd pick up on.
I think so.
The second time around, because it's quite a dense movie, and like
it's a strange one for me. I really do like it a lot, but I am a little unsure whether rewatching will make it grow or diminish in my respects, because it's so plotty towards the last half of the film, and it's so pulpy and so wacky.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I'm coming down on a negative note right at the end. I really had such a good time in the cinema.
Yeah, me too.
The way that it completely blindsided me, and like I said, not knowing where the film's going to go, like literally 100% having zero idea.
Yeah,
and
that is really fucking fun.
It's so good, right?
So
good.
Yeah,
and like I love that trailer now. Like that is how trailers should be made.
Yeah,
to have that level of smart misdirection in a trailer.
Yeah.
It basically just sums up the first 20 minutes of the film, and that's
right.
it, and doesn't even give a hint that there's anything more to it.
No, not at all. Like, as we said, like, it totally fooled us.
Even the poster.
It actually made us kind of angry a bit, you know, like, oh man, they're spoiled so much.
Yeah.
And it's just like, in making you think that, your brain doesn't even comprehend what else they could be hiding.
Yep.
Like, yeah, very, very cool. And, you know, this podcast is sort of about that difference. And we rarely say that, oh, I'm so glad the trailer was like this.
Yeah.
Normally the trailers just give away way too much and you can plot out the whole movie. But it was super cool for that not to be the case this time.
Yeah. I'm so glad that we got to have a film like this, because it's so rare for it to happen.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the PrePost Film Review. We'd love to hear what you thought of Gone Girl, so you can email us at prepostfilmreview@gmail.com and let us know what you thought of the film. That would be awesome.
That would be great. You can also subscribe to us on iTunes, and that would be really awesome, because that helps get the show seen and gets us featured in certain lists and all that kind of stuff. We're also on Stitcher. So if that's your preferred way of listening, subscribe to us there, or whatever kind of podcasty thing you use. If you subscribe, that really helps us get more listeners and get featured in stuff. So that would be awesome. You can also like us on Facebook. That would be really cool as well. So give us a like there. We're also on Twitter, where we occasionally post.
We'll try to get better at that.
Yeah, we will. Yeah. So you can find us on Twitter at PrePostFR. That would be awesome.
You can also find us both on Letterboxd. Letterboxd is a great little film community website that lets you rate and review films. So if you search for our names that you would have heard at the start of the show, you can find John and I there. So we put up little ratings and reviews for stuff we do on the podcast and just everything else we see. So if you're interested, jump on over there. And join us next episode when we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to be reviewing the Studio Ghibli film Grave of the Fireflies, because there's a special Ghibli showcase that's happening in Melbourne at the moment, so we thought it might be fun to review an older film for once.
Yeah.
Should be good. Yeah.
I was like,
Gone
he
Girl's
kills her with a hammer.
Yeah.
And then in the movie where it's like...
Oh, and she's got the hammer or something?
Yeah, there's like... They find the blood stains or whatever, and it's like, blunt force to the head or whatever. I was like, you know. But then even like how it repeats the last shot again, there was a tiny part of me that was like, what if a hammer just fucking comes in and like splits her brains open?
Fuck, imagine if that's how it ended.
Yeah, well, it kind of could have, you know? It's batshit crazy at that point.
Yeah, it's true.